In October 2004, Weyland Industries' satellites discovered the location of an ancient pyramid deep beneath the ice of Buvatoya Island, prompting an expedition led by Charles Bishop Weyland, along with a team of experts to gather as much data on the yet-to-be-studied pyramid as possible. The expedition met a terrible fate, however, seeing human team members caught in the middle of a war between two ancient species, the xenomorph and the Yautja. Charles Bishop Weyland was among those who lost their lives within the pyramid in the midst of this war. The name Weyland within the Alien series is of course synonymous with YUTANI, the company in constant search of a xenomorph specimen, often at any cost and with just about any human life expendable in the process. The company and its name, as it's most commonly depicted, is the result of the merger between Weyland Corp., owned by Sir Peter Weyland, and the YUTANI Corporation, owned by Hideo Yutani. So, where does this leave Charles Bishop Weyland? The first and only appearance of this character was in the film Alien vs. Predator, in which he was portrayed by Lance Henriksen, who also portrayed the android Bishop and the Weyland-Yutani synthetic designer Michael Bishop. A lot of the background information on Charles Bishop Weyland learned from Alien vs. Predator suggests Weyland Industries was involved in technologies such as artificial intelligence. A magazine cover of Scientific American, shown in one moment, proclaims him as the pioneer of modern robotics. Though the events of AVP take place in 2004, we're led to believe that Charles Bishop Weyland paved the way for AI technology and is likely related to Michael Bishop, who designed the Bishop model, both of whom bear an uncanny resemblance to Charles Bishop Weyland, that is, if you believe Michael Bishop is in fact a human. While there is a large amount of information available about Sir Peter Weyland and all of his accomplishments, by comparison we don't know too much about Charles Bishop. The novelization of Alien vs. Predator provides some further information on the man and the Weyland business. An excerpt from the novel states the following. At 21, Charles Bishop Weyland possessed a Harvard MBA and a small satellite mapping company inherited from his father. 2 years later, he'd purchased a cable franchise in the Midwest, then a telecommunications grid in Nevada. Within a decade marked by shrewd and calculated expansion, Weyland Industries had become the largest satellite systems operation in the world, the company worth in excess of $300 billion. His financial empire secure, Charles Weyland had set out to change the world. Expanding the range of human endeavor was more than the Weyland Industries catchphrase. It was the sum of Charles Weyland's personal philosophy. His mother dead before he was 2, raised by a succession of nannies under the cold eye of a harsh, agnostic father, Weyland lacked the parental love or even the comforting faith in a higher power. So he'd made progress his creed, vowing to use his wealth to advance the frontiers of human civilization. To that end, he'd begun to lead a double life. The public Charles Bishop Weyland threw lavish parties, attended openings and charity events, bought luxury hotels in San Francisco, Paris, and London. Billionaire Charles Bishop Weyland built a casino in Las Vegas and was very much a fixture of the society page, a shallow playboy who always had a beautiful woman on his arm and his signature 9-iron over his shoulder. But like the hotels, the casino, and the golf club, the women were mere props, part of the elaborate and calculated deception that enabled Charles Weyland to accomplish his real goals behind the scenes and under the radar. While hosting the opening of the Weyland West Hotel in San Francisco, Weyland's representatives had been secretly purchasing a nanotechnology firm in the Silicon Valley. As he had attended London's theater season, Weyland's lawyers had been closing a deal for a robotics plant in Pittsburgh. While he attended Fashion Week festivities in Paris, Weyland's shell company had engineered a hostile takeover of a pharmaceutical company in Seattle and bought a genetics research firm in Kyoto. By the time he was 40, Weyland had become the foremost financial supporter of cutting-edge scientific research around the globe. 4 years earlier, Weyland had told Max Stafford that, given 40 more years on Earth, the scientific research his company funded would enable Weyland Industries to open a branch in a moon base on the Sea of Tranquility. But that was before he'd been diagnosed with advanced bronchogenic carcinoma. Now, because of the cancer that was eating away at his lungs, Charles Weyland no longer had 40 more years. If he was lucky, he might have 40 more days. Charles Bishop Weyland met his fate inside the pyramid in Antarctica. By his own summation, his own death wouldn't have a detrimental effect on his legacy or his company. As he mused, when you get sick, you think about your life and how you're going to be remembered. You know what I realize will happen when I go? 10% fall in share prices, maybe 12. That's it. In the film or novelization of AVP, there's no mention of any next of kin, or who may have been next in line to take over the company after his death. Considering his own knowledge of the terminal illness, it would be reasonable enough that he would have these kinds of affairs in order, but at least according to all information available on Charles Bishop Weyland, the practical future of the company remained a mystery. The burning question, though, considering the timelines and missing information, is Charles Bishop Weyland somehow related to Peter Weyland? While the timelines of each Weyland don't openly support this theory, there seems to be no conflict either, leaving room for interpretation, maybe even some subtle clues that support a connection. In regards to Sir Peter Weyland, there's none too much available by ways of his own lineage. Official timelines reference that Peter was born October 1st, 1990 in Mumbai, India, to an Oxford-educated professor of comparative mythology and a self-taught engineer. No names, no other specifics, and details of his upbringing are unavailable, that is, up until age 14, when he developed his first breakthrough method patent. This patent was a synthetic trachea, constructed entirely of synthetically engineered stem cells. The trachea, an integral part of the body's airway with the vital function of providing airflow to and from the lungs for respiration, is a difficult equation in treatment for respiratory diseases, such as bronchogenic carcinoma. This patent, Peter's breakthrough, possibly could have saved Charles Bishop Weyland's life. One may wonder why he developed such a patent. The development of this patent occurred in 2004, the same year Charles Bishop Weyland died. Hardly a solid connection, but an interesting coincidence. Also of some coincidence, many of the locations where Charles Bishop Weyland owned property, such as San Francisco and London, were home to Sir Peter's major Weyland offices, and curiously, during a major expansion of the Weyland Corporation, offices were also opened in Antarctica. And true to Charles Bishop's original 40-year plan, Sir Peter opened branches within the Sea of Tranquility. It's almost as if Charles laid the groundwork for Peter to follow in the years to come. Between the years of 2004, Charles Bishop's death, through 2012, the year the official Weyland Corporation timeline states as the corporation's official beginning, is it possible the company was just dormant, then re-emerged once Peter became of age? Could Charles and Peter, in fact, be father and son? Ultimately, it depends entirely on what you choose to believe. What differentiates the Alien series from something like, for example, Star Wars, is that there's never really been any kind of official proclamation as to what is considered canon and what is not. Alien vs. Predator, regardless, is a movie that exists. It's not as if Ridley Scott's prequel series and his less than favorable opinion on AVP erases it from existence. But whether it can be considered a part of the overall continuity of the Alien series or simply a throwaway story may be another matter. Do you consider AVP part of the series? Do you think somehow Charles Bishop Weyland and Peter Weyland are related? Or do you find no connection? Comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from the channel. If there's a topic you'd like to see covered, please comment below and let me know what you'd like to see in the future. I'd like to offer my very special thanks to Weyland-Yutani Executive, EmYarUk, part of the Patreon Hive. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory on social media, follow @alien_theory on Twitter, and @AlienTheoryYT on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.